Ever wondered what it's like to live on a Colombia finca or farm? Well, you're not alone. So did I. And that's why I actually spent some time living the farm life away from the city in a rural area of Colombia. And in this video, I'm going to share my experience of what it was like. I'm going to go into some pros. I'm going to get into some cons. Would I do it again? If so, for how long would I do it for? And then that way, maybe you can make a decision as far as if it's something that you want to try out as well. And if you're new here, my name's Alex. On this channel, I share everything I've learned about leaving the West and creating an ideal life in Latin America. So if that sounds interesting to you, then be sure to subscribe and let's get into the topic. Here's what I will cover in today's video. I'm going to go into where I stayed, the actual location of the finca. I'm going to go into what it cost in total. I'm going to go into pros and cons, the best and worst parts of the finca life. And then I'm going to go into final verdict. Is this something that I would do again? If so, for how long? Can I see myself living on a farm? And maybe that'll help you decide if it makes sense for you as well. Let's dive in. Where I stayed was a city outside of Medellin called Rio Negro and / Maranesia. It was technically in Maranesia, but it bordered Rio Negro. I will show you the Airbnb that I stayed at. So here's the location. We have Medellin right over here. And then this is about, I want to say like a 45-minute drive to get to the next major city of Rio Negro. Llano Grande is another popular area for wealthy Colombians where they live. But I wanted to spend some time in the rural farm area. So the next nearest town was Maranesia, and here was the actual farm. You can see it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, right? The next nearest city was maybe like a 20-minute Uber ride, and it would take a while to get to the Ubers, which I'll get into more detail. But that's where I stayed. So it was technically Maranesia. A lot more people are familiar with Rio Negro. I mentioned it was about 45 minutes outside the city. This location, by the way, is a little cooler than what you'll find in Medellin. So a lot of people prefer to actually live in this area outside the city of Medellin. More locals, right? Because they're usually in a hotter part of the city, such as like Bejo or something like that. And people love going to where it's a little cooler. So that's just a side note. But this is where I stayed. Basically, it was surrounded by nature. There was literally no city noise. There were farms and there were other rural areas surrounding me. Mostly homes. There weren't any apartments. I should say all homes, no apartments really. A lot of space, a lot of land, right? A lot of animals. There were cows. There were horses. A lot of different species of birds. If you're a bird lover, you probably love it. I actually had 2 horses on my farm. I'll share some video footage. Who were very, very kind, and they were very playful as well. Whenever it rained, they would actually play in the rain, which I thought were interesting. Which I thought was interesting. But yeah, so completely different from Medellin, and definitely a unique experience. That's where I stayed. Now, how much did it cost to live on the finca? So this is going to depend, right? As far as what I paid, I believe my rent at the time was maybe around $600 a month. But let's see what it's going for. Oh, this is actually booked out. Here we go. Let's see what it's going for now. Let's go here. That's a 30-day stay. Yeah. So look, this place is only like $447 a month, right? And it's a pretty decent spot. You got the whole, basically it's like a 2-family, and you have the entire, it's a duplex. And then you have the top floor and you have part of the bottom floor. All right. So that's it's basically a huge loft. So that's like the main living area. There's a lot of different species of birds. Yeah, it's like the kitchen area. So nothing, super modern. I mean, the bathroom was redone, but nothing super fancy, right? A lot of these homes are going to be pretty much older, right? It's a finca. You're not going to get luxury houses, although you could get some. Those are obviously going to go for a little more. So you're probably spending anywhere between $500 to $1,000 a month, depending on the size, depending on how modern, depending on the amenities for the actual finca itself for an entire month. All right. Ordering food was a little difficult in the beginning because you don't really have a lot of options with Rappi. Rappi's kind of like it's like a Uber Eats, right, out here in Colombia. And each meal was about the same. I mean, you can even get it cheaper than $5 a meal. There was one restaurant close to me that I would always order from, and I would just go direct. they would have their own delivery service. Because again, this is rural Colombia, right? You don't have a lot of options in rural Colombia, maybe one or two restaurants max. But there was one that was close to me that had pretty decent food, very affordable. So that's pretty much where I ordered from every day. I did do some cooking, like, basic stuff. So when you cook at home, obviously you'll spend, a lot less. And yeah, you know how that goes. So I'd say you could live comfortably on a finca here for definitely under 1,500 a month, for sure. Just for the finca alone, you already know how much that goes for the food. The thing is, when it comes to finca life, there's not much to do. All right, there's not much going on. You can see the nearest city was Maranesia. If I go back to here, so to get to Melanesia, I would need to order an Uber, which could take 20, 25, maybe 30 minutes for an Uber to get here because there's not a lot of Ubers in this area. They're typically around here, around Rio Negro, around Llana Grande, right? And obviously Medellin. So not too much. This is a really small town right here in Melanesia. There are some bars here, but you're not going to see really any expats, any tourist, any you know what I mean. Maybe you might, maybe I might have come across someone I didn't know that they were, but this is pretty much a small town here, Melanesia. Really interesting experience for sure. But you can see here that there's not much to do out here. This was actually the restaurant that I would order from all the time. So for those reasons, you're not going to spend much money per month. So I'd say 1,500 a month, you live a good life in the finca for sure in Colombia. Here are some pros and cons to finca life. All right. Some pros I mentioned earlier. The weather is a little cooler. You're a little more elevated, right? A little higher up. So unlike Medellin, it gets pretty cool at night, which is great for sleeping. And it's a nice change of weather. Same thing in the morning. It's pretty cool. But at the same time, a lot of these places don't have heating. So if it drops down to maybe low 50s, let's call it, Fahrenheit, then you're taking a shower in the morning, you're going to be cold coming out of the shower. All right, so just keep that in mind. Peaceful and tranquil. So for sure, there's hardly any noise. There's no traffic. You just hear birds, nature, right? It's really nice to get outside the city and experience nature. So you're going to experience a lot of peaceful and tranquility. I know a lot of men say, I just want peace. I just want peace, right? So if you want peace, finca life is where it's at. You're surrounded by nature. You have great fresh air, mountain views, green landscapes. Like I said, many species of birds here. Perfect for doing deep work and focus. All right. If you're someone who's looking to build, if you're someone who's looking to grow and you need to be alone for a period of time to really focus on some projects, this is a great thing you could do to avoid distractions and do some writing and do some creative work, okay? Or if you're on the other spectrum where you're someone who's retired or looking to retire and just looking to chill out, be left alone, have no one bother you, then that's also it could make sense for you as well. At the end of the day, this is a great place to reset, a great thing to do to reset, all right? If you need a break from the city, the hustle and bustle, just constantly being around people, then this is a great break from that. And this would be my recommendation to do it. Now, there are some cons to finca life. All right. Number one, if you're a single guy, you're younger, call it 30s, 40s, even 50s. I mean, I consider for a man, 30s and 40s is still young. You're not going to have much of a social life. You'll most likely want to invite any girls that you met or that you're dating or your girlfriend back in the city, right? Medellin. And hopefully you already have someone that you're talking to, and then she can come visit you. That's pretty much what I did. So I would spend a lot of alone time, right? I do a lot of work and get stuff done. And then over the weekends, I would have her stay over type thing, right? That's kind of how you want to do it here because there's really not many options when it came to dating life. Although Melanesia, it's a small town, but you could bump into someone here too at a bar. So don't count that out either. Ubers here take forever. So I remember feeling stuck. Like I said, it could take 30, maybe not an hour, but it would take 25, 30 minutes just to find an Uber for it to get to you. So without a motorcycle, without a car, I mean, it does feel isolated, right? I think I'd have a much better experience if I had a moto. If I had a motorcycle that I can just use, go to a grocery store, go to Melanesia, maybe go to Rio Negro, maybe just ride along the highway. I think that'd be a much cooler experience to have a motorcycle. If I were to do this again, I think a motorcycle will really make the experience a lot more enjoyable. All right, there's also limited food options. Like I said, there were a couple restaurants that did offer delivery. So I basically used the same one or two each time. And to get to the grocery store, like if you want to cook at home, that's probably like a 30-minute walk, which is the same as if you were to order an Uber. So those were my options, right? I could order an Uber, wait 25, 30 minutes, maybe have him wait for me while I do grocery shopping, or order another Uber, right? Wait another 25, 30 minutes, or I could just walk there for like 30 minutes. So I always chose to just walk to get to the grocery store, even though it was a little hilly. So small inconvenience, just keep that in mind. You will have limited food options when it comes to that. I mentioned cold showers, no heating. So when the temperature does drop to below 50s, you're just getting out the shower. I don't know about you, but I like to I do take cold showers at the end to wake up and for health reasons, but I don't want it to be cold when I get out at the same time, right? So that's just me. So it does get chilly in the mornings and at night, and usually these places have no heating. And lastly, there are more bugs and insects and mosquitoes and things like that. So if that bothers you, might not be for you. Now, if you are a super social person or someone who likes more convenience, right? Maybe you don't like roughing it or you're not super adventurous, then Finca life is probably not going to be for you, or if you give it a try, it's gonna require some adjusting. All right, so final verdict: would I stay or live on a finca long term? Look, I definitely think it's for some people. It's definitely not for most people, I would say, who are around my age. Maybe you're in your 30s, maybe you're in your 40s. Maybe when I get older, maybe when I'm in my 50s, 60s, 70s, this could be a great option, right? As of right now, though, for a short-term reset, absolutely. I would love to spend, call it like a long weekend on a finca every 3 months. Sounds great. Maybe stay for even as much as a week. I think 2 weeks is kind of pushing it. Again, I had this place for an entire month. All right. And after 2 weeks of living on the finca, I actually went to the beach. I took a plane and I went to Santa Marta because I couldn't handle it anymore. I needed to get out. That's just me personally. All right. So for me, probably 1 week would be ideal, or a long weekend every few months is going to be okay too. Long-term living, not right now. Maybe when I'm much older, I just want some peace and I want tranquility. I want to be left alone, just with my projects, or just to chill out. Maybe, I have a family and kids by then for sure, it probably makes sense then. But for right now in my life, I prefer living in the city, and I prefer escaping to nature and fresh air and a little cooler weather every now and then. All right, so to summarize, once again, I love the finca life for a period of time. It's a great escape, but I personally want to be closer to the action. I'm someone who wants to be in the best part of the city, like right in the heart of the city, where in a nice apartment where I can literally just walk to everywhere and it's all around me. I don't need to order Ubers unless I'm going outside the city, and I can go to coffee shops, restaurants, bars, grocery stores, whatever I need. I have it within like a 5, 10, maybe 15-minute walk. That's more my thing right now. But like I said, if some of you are in your 50s or even 60s, man, this could be a great option if you're looking to retire. I know a lot of people who do SSI, who get SSI, probably earn between $2,000 to $3,000 a month. On $2,000 to $3,000 a month, you can live a great finca life, right? If you're in your 50s and 60s and affordability in the States is just out of control for you right now, and you just want to be peace. You just want peace and tranquility, and it's tough for you to maybe like find a spot that's affordable in the States. Dude, go to freaking Colombia. Go live on a farm, experience it. Take a week, take 2 weeks, see if you like it. I think this is a great alternative for someone who's looking to retire and just wants to chill out, be left alone, and just live the rest of their days in peace. I think this is a great option at an affordable price too. So this is more for someone like that. If you're someone like me, more of like a getaway for the weekend. All right, so that's my take on finca life in Colombia. Once again, I lasted about a couple weeks. I rented the place out for a month, so those 2 weeks were pretty much, there was no one there at the time. I went to Santa Marta, to the beach. I just needed to get out of the finca after a couple weeks. So be sure to check out that video too if you want to know what it's like to live on the beach in Colombia. But I will say this to the guys who are in their 60s and 70s, strongly consider this option if cost of living in the States or Canada is too much for you and you just want peace and tranquility. The affordability and the quality of life you can live here for a finca in Colombia, just renting it out the rest of your days, it's a great alternative for you. So thanks so much for watching, guys. If you want to see more content like this specific to Latin America, be sure to subscribe and look out for the next video.